A possible settlement meeting between the SEC and Ripple is currently getting incredibly popular on X. In this video, I want to be honest with you about this settlement meeting. Will it really happen? Will I really see an actual settlement from this meeting? And most importantly, if I don't think this will happen, or if this meeting is legitimate, when can we start looking for a settlement? Hey everyone! As the Ripple SEC case draws to a close, it's time to consider when this legal matter will likely conclude. In regard to the XRP price chart, I want to show you exactly where I think this case will end. I believe this is really beginning to get a little ridiculous, so I just wanted to briefly bring it up at the beginning of the movie. We actually had Gary Gensler called before Congress more during the last administration than the current one. I kind of realized earlier today. Now, this is very embarrassing because Republicans currently hold the House. Republicans have the authority to subpoena Gary Gensler for his illegal attacks on the Bitcoin business, as well as to summon him before Congress. But in spite of all of their repeated assurances, we have seen that they have completely failed to do that. Tom Emmer and others promised a new era at the SEC, but what we had was the exact old thing, unfortunately, worse than under the Democrats. Gary Gensler actually faced two pretty serious questions from the Democrats regarding the security of Ethereum and other similar projects when he appeared before Congress twice. However, we haven't seen much at all from the current administration. It is awkward. It's disgusting, especially considering all the assurances we were effectively given about a new day arriving and Gary Gensler being held responsible. Since this has been one of my major frustrations, I just wanted to bring it up. I genuinely believed that Gary Gensler would come under fire. I really believed that Gary Gensler would be subject to congressional pressure to bring some clarity to this business, and that this may serve as a trigger to effectively force the SEC's hand in some of these cases. Rather, we have witnessed the complete opposite. Gary Gensler has very rarely been under pressure. Congress has made very little effort to get Gary Gensler to stop going after the bad companies in the Bitcoin space and instead focus on the positive ones. And in the end, that has disappointed me the most over the past few months and years, because I genuinely thought that if Congress put some pressure on Gary Gensler and made him feel uncomfortable, we might be in a position where he would be compelled to withdraw from cases like the Ripple case and begin pursuing cases that had merit. Still, that's not where we are at this point. Hopefully, we won't have to worry about this in the future when there is a new SEC chair. I hope we elect a new government. I hope the next chair of the SEC is someone who truly supports cryptocurrency and wants laws that will benefit this sector. But regrettably, this is where we are for the time being. And the reason I brought this up is that, in my opinion, it's critical that, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, we hold all parties accountable. Although the Republicans have the ability to exert pressure on Gary Gensler, the SEC is currently targeting the industry, and they aren't doing anything to stop it. I'd like to move on to explore the possible settlement that is now trending on X days. This is all the rage these days, and I believe there's a solid reason for that, but I feel compelled to draw people's attention to a few things. People are presently obsessed with tomorrow's rumored settlement talks between Ripple and the SEC. This source, is reliable. It originated on the judge's webpage. The issue, though, is that, although it has been taken out of her web calendar, this settlement talk has remained on the program. In essence, Brad Garlinghouse, Chris Larsen, and the SEC discussed the settlement. However, the SEC has already dismissed the allegations against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen, if memory serves you well. Why did the SEC abandon these accusations? For all intents and purposes, the SEC never truly accused Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen of fraud, rather, it only charged them with it. Therefore, in the beginning, they were essentially just attempting to intimidate Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen into signing a settlement. Who can say what their intention was? In other words, the SEC was compelled to withdraw the charges against Brad and Chris because they made unfounded allegations against them. That implies that the conversation about a settlement is now over. Regretfully, the magistrate failed to take this off her schedule. Many people took this talk to be about a settlement between Ripple and the SEC when they saw that it was happening tomorrow. However, such was not the case here. Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen were having a settlement talk at the SEC. However, those charges have already been withdrawn, so this conversation will not take place. I wanted to draw your attention to this because I've noticed that many people are discussing it and are optimistic that a discussion will take place tomorrow. That conversation is not taking place. The case no longer contains this. The Ripple charges are still in effect. There is no settlement talk between Brad, Chris, and the SEC because the accusations against them are now closed. I wanted to quickly bring that to your attention because I've noticed that a lot of people are becoming rather excited about it, and I don't want anyone to be unduly disappointed if those settlement negotiations fall through. Guys, it's crucial to realize that settlement negotiations between Ripple and the SEC could occur at any time. If they chose to, they could get together at any time today and begin discussing a settlement. However, no prearranged negotiations are happening. Having said that, a lot of people are undoubtedly wondering when this case will finally come to a close. If the dates we just discussed are not going to happen, are there any dates to which we can look forward? Now that I think this chart is so fascinating, I wanted to share it with you. To provide a high-level summary of what we have seen thus far with XRP, as well as what can be possible going forward and how similar various formations have played out, I will begin with the zoomed-out chart. These structures are not the subject of this video. They are really fascinating to me. However, if we go closer, we can see what I really want to discuss, that is, when the Ripple SEC case will conclude. As of right now, folks, the Ripple SEC case is nearing its conclusion, which I know will make a lot of you very, very pleased. Actually, what I did with this chart was to provide you with this box. This box begins on the last day that documents related to the Ripple SEC complaint are due. Actually, May 6th is the deadline for filing materials in the Ripple SEC complaint. However, since the SEC is the SEC and they like to do that, I'm going to presume that they will want an extension. As a result, I am indicating on this chart that May 20th, the commencement of this box, is the deadline for submitting documentation for the Ripple SEC case. In my opinion, the best moment for Judge Torres to make a decision is when the remainder of the box moves forward to the right. I think the last day Judge Torres may possibly announce her ruling is when this box ends, which is basically the beginning of September. It is my belief that Judge Torres will rule on this matter sometime between May 20th and September, at which point the Ripple SEC case will conclude formally. It is wonderful to believe that the Ripple SEC case will eventually come to an end, and that XRP and Ripple will be free of this much-needed chaos. This is going to happen at some point in this box right here, and it's just around the corner from where we are. And for that reason, I believe it's critical that people comprehend that, despite the fact that the settlement negotiations we previously discussed are genuinely taking place, the rumors around them were unfounded. In any event, we are still sitting very, very close to the finish line in this scenario. Gentlemen, my sincere wish is for XRP to just re-establish itself inside this symmetric triangle. And in the end, I think that will be the spark that pushes XRP to new all-time highs. The ruling that this dispute is done will allow it to truly spiral out of control. Having said that, I'd like to show you another chart that, in my opinion, also connects to everything we've just discussed in a really intriguing way. The last thing I want to say is that, after the final documentation is sent in on May 20th, we essentially have 100 days to wait for Judge Torres to make her judgment. Please keep this in mind when we move on to the next chart. Now, folks, keep that in mind for when we move on to the following chart, which is XRP's Bitcoin. As you can see, XRP is currently declining versus Bitcoin to a historical level that it has never fallen below. Additionally, each time it has declined below this floor, XRP has gone parabolic vs. Bitcoin. When XRP to Bitcoin has now dropped to these levels on each occasion, there has effectively been a consolidation period of 60 to 100 days during which the chart stayed in this range until turning completely parabolic and forming massive green candles, which resulted in the price chart explosion of XRP. What we're witnessing is that XRP is currently at that point. This floor is where XRP is beginning its consolidation pattern, which has traditionally propelled XRP stratospheric. Gentlemen, I genuinely think that everything is going according to plan with the other price chart. On this floor, where XRP is consolidating, 3 times out of 3, XRP has surged upward by thousands of %. Additionally, we can see that XRP is reaching the point where this symmetrical triangle ends at the very moment that we were hoping for a decision in the Ripple SEC lawsuit. Folks, it appears that everything is in place for XRP to soar out of here and hit new all-time highs, regardless of where you look. The fundamentals of XRP are better than ever. Construction projects and builders are joining the chain at unprecedentedly fast rates. Behind the scenes, Ripple is making incredible strides toward getting traditional financial institutions to accept cryptocurrency. Ripple is withdrawing from the SEC lawsuit at the same moment. One of the few cryptocurrencies with a track record of stability in the market is XRP. Gentlemen, this asset situation has never looked better. The cryptocurrency market is ignorant of everything else. They are becoming meme currency. They are importing JPEG files. They are unable to notice the utility, even though it is directly in front of them. Guys, I believe that a lot of mainstream media will suddenly start covering XRP at much higher prices when it makes its major jump. And everyone who has been purchasing XRP at the current prices will claim to be doing so for between $10 and $15. Let's see how this goes, guys. Nonetheless, I believe it is hard not to feel really optimistic about what is coming up next when you take into account all the information and events we have discussed in this video. Anyway, I want to thank all of you for coming. I really hope you liked this update. Please remember to like and subscribe if you did. It is truly very meaningful.